Welcome back again. If you watched my last video, you know I left that off on a little bit of a low, frying out my ECU. We're starting this video on a bit of a high. The T56 Magnum is mounted in the truck behind the Coyote. New cross members made, and we're going to get some more work done. Stay tuned. So there isn't a whole lot to see here except the T56 Magnum is mounted. There's a little bit of hole in the floor there. I had to trim it a little bit. Made a new cross member. Here we are. So there's the, just a couple pieces of plate. And remember those gussets that came with my motor mounts? Well, I trimmed them and put them in there. Drilled some holes, tapped them in the frame, and put some bolts in it. And that's pretty close to center there. I've got some wiggle room on this drive shaft loop. So yeah, there's that. It's in there. Hydraulic lines are obviously not hooked up yet. I still have the hydraulic slave or master cylinder hooked up to that Willwood slave cylinder that I was running. Might end up getting some -4 lines because we got a -3 line right here, and I got to mount it to these -4 lines right here. So that's where that sits. I've not gone over my wiring yet. Everything's still kind of a mess under here compared to last time. Yeah, we're getting a little more progress, but keep watching. Just like that, we got my electrical mounted again. I got another computer that went off of eBay. It showed up, so I took the vehicle harness out, hooked it up to a booster pack, hooked the OBD2 reader up to the ECU, plugged it in, and right away that thing started reading the code scanner. So that was good. Hooked up to ForScan, got a VIN number off of this, so I can use that for HP tuners a little later on down the road. Trimmed down the wire harness for the transmission. Still a little bit more work to do to that, but I'm waiting to get the output shaft speed sensor and adapter for the T56 that fits in the sorry, here, let's start this again. Waiting for an output shaft speed sensor and adapter to fit a 18 Mustang manual output shaft speed sensor into a T56 Magnum. There. I can speak. So, anyway, found a couple little issues and one big issue, and because I'm an idiot. That's the long and short of it. So there's a main power wire that comes off your alternator and runs to your battery. Well, in this harness there was 3 power cables, well, 2 power cables and a ground, and that power wire going from the alternator down over there went to ground, and not just tapped ground, I mounted it, bolted it to ground. So that was my dum-dum for the day. Now I'm terribly scared to hook this thing up and hook it up to the ForScan and the code reader, because I don't want to fry it again. But I'll get over that. I'll probably leave all the starter and power wire off of it and then hook it up and see if I get the throttle to work, see if the air temp sensor reads proper or ambient. Same with the coolant temp sensor. I'll see if that reads ambient, and we'll go from there. See what happens at this point. The intake manifold is also bolted on for good. Well, not for good. Nothing's for good. I do have to put a nozzle in the bottom for meth injection, but that's later. They come off easy. But it is bolted on and ready enough for when I fire it up. Also bought some ID 1050 injectors and adapters from another Mustang guy in the area. Thanks, Fadon. So I'll fire it up on the stock injectors just to make sure everything runs and fires and works. and then I'll start throwing tunes in for ID 1050X and have that, and should have all the fuel we need to make 1,000. But you know, whether this thing will make 1,000, if this thing should make 1,000, whether I will make 1,000, that's another story. I got over my fear of hooking all the power wires up and everything, so we're all connected. Also started with my fuel regulator, mounted that, waiting for fittings. Just the waiting game and ordering parts as I go here. But here's my throttle cable or my throttle pedal underneath the hood because it's not mounted yet, and there's my cable, and I got lots of it. So on that, yeah, I still got the bag on the throttle body, but throttle works again. So that's super fantastico. Put on my coils and spark plugs and coils on. I got a little T-fitting. I got another T-fitting for the other side, same thing as that. So I'm going to hook another T-fitting up to that. I'm going to run a -10 fuel line to a couple of -6 fuel lines into a Y, and put them into one into each rail, because the crossover is this between the two rails. I don't want to starve one rail or the other. So this fitting feeds the high pressure direct injection pump, and the rails are under there, under the intake manifold. So I'm going to have another one of those Y fit, or one of these T fittings on this side. So I'm going to be teeing the main 5/8-10 fuel line one side into here, one side into here, and the other T fitting over here will wrap around, go into the regulator, and back out to the fuel tank. Then I can set my fuel pressures, and I'm not going to worry about one side getting starved and the other side not. And in theory, that works. So there's today's update. Not a whole lot, but just a couple of little things I've gone through, and you know, just more crap, a little bit at a time. We're getting there. Had a super busy week at work with our plant shutdown, and plant shutdown as a millwright means we don't shut down, we are busy. So that took a lot of time away from this week and took a lot of energy out of me. But this is Saturday, April 12th right now, and that's where that's sitting right now. In the future, I'll clean up this wire harness because I absolutely hate the way it runs there and then back to the firewall. But for now, the goal is make it run, get it running, and I'd love to have it running by May. I basically got a month to make it run and shake it down before the no prep races start at St. Thomas Dragway. I think Legacy No Prep, I believe it's called, with John Forbes, 509. Wow, I'm drawing a blank here. 509 Pro Street. Thank you. So that starts, I believe it's May 17th. We've got the Legacy No Prep, first no prep of the year. Trying to make it for that, and I've got a ton of work to do. So on that note, I'll figure it out my own way, and you got to figure it out your own way too.